All right, well, good morning, everyone. It's Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, January 11th, 2022. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, about a minute or so before 8 o'clock Central, to discuss strategies, success stories, tactics, tips, and to support you. Today, we are going to go through the ABCs of marketing, the Access to Capital program. And if all's going well, that should be shown here on the shared screen. We play each morning, we play a song, the same song over and over if you're very early, so you may get tired of it, but we play one song each day, and often it's just kind of randomly selected or nominated by one of you. This morning, the song was Jason Aldean's The Truth. And so that's an important one as we get in to the ABCs of marketing the Access to Capital program, because we want to tell the truth. If we're going to promote this, and we'll talk about the content here in a moment, but you want to be truthful. Unfortunately, what will happen is you will probably encounter clients that are not truthful. And I can give you a couple examples. And so you do have to be thick-skinned to do what we do, because people will lie to you. One example, we have a client, and yesterday he and I had a conversation, and nice guy and all, but he was mad. He said, you guys messed up my credit. You ran a bunch of inquiries, and now my credit scores dropped by 100 points. And I said, wow, that's interesting, because we don't get a power of attorney. We don't apply for funding for anyone. We're technical advisors. So that doesn't sound right, sir. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And so we looked at his credit report, and there was only one inquiry in the past 3 months even. And so that was an inquiry that he applied for, not us. He was right that his credit went down over 100 points because he stopped paying his bills on time. Now he has recent late payments, which he admitted. So was it a misunderstanding, a mistake? Was it a lie? I mean, it wasn't truthful what he said, and I feel fortunate that I had the chance to talk to him to resolve it, because we didn't do any of those things that he alleged. And in fact, the reason that he didn't get approved for any cash funding, the reason that his credit scores went down, is because he stopped paying his bills on time. In other cases, you might have clients that sign up with you, and then when you send them an invoice, they come back and say, what is this? I didn't sign up. And then you send them a copy of the signed contract. It's like, well, you did. So with all that being said, we need to do the right thing. We need to be truthful. We need to market the program to help people, but we need to only tell the truth. And so that's my opening statement as we get into the topic today. Now, with that being said, before I get into the ABCs, I am not the marketing expert. We have hired Scott Stroud. Scott Stroud is our Chief Marketing Officer. He is here to assist you, our white label partners, in a number of areas. And so I'm going to give you a high level response to topics regarding marketing, but the expert is Scott, and you should each be working individually with Scott. You can schedule with him, you can email him, and things that he does. One of the things that he can help you do is set up a landing page. And we'll talk about that as we go through the topic today. Excuse me. Is it a requirement that you work with Scott? Absolutely not. Is it a requirement that you use a landing page to get clients signed up? No, it's not. Is it a best practice? Yes. And we'll talk more about why that'll probably make a big difference in your conversions. He can help with automation. Well, what does automation mean? Automation, and it kind of links to this next topic, is follow-up, right? It's too good to be true. And I guess we're going to address a number of those things today to dispel what's too good to be true. It's too good to be true to think that you'll sign up as a white label partner, do nothing, and make $1 million. Now, can you make $1 million per year as a white label partner? Absolutely. But it's too good to be true to think that you'll sign up, do nothing, and become a millionaire through our program. Also, more relevant to this point here, is it's too good to be true to think that most people will sign up with their first exposure. Instead, follow-up is key. And you could do email follow-up or text follow-up, I guess even phone call follow-up. But what's the general rule of marketing? It normally takes 5 to 7 exposures before someone moves forward. That's why when you watch TV, you see the same commercial over and over. So whether you want to work with Scott or not, I really don't care. Whether you have landing page or not, I really don't care. But a good base understanding is that you want to generate prospects, and you're going to want to have some sort of automation to be able to move people from prospect to client. And if you don't, you'll make less money and you'll have a lower close percentage. Also, and we'll talk about this as we get deeper into the agenda today, and I guess I'll just jump into it now while it's here. I think you'd be a fool. So I'm not calling you foolish. I'm saying in general, I think anyone would be foolish to not build some sort of referral network, because there's other people that already know small businesses that are looking for capital. And if you give them an economic reason and awareness to refer to you, they will. So we'll get to that more in a minute. But those are some of the very important things that Scott can help you with. And I'm going to let you visit with Scott further about those items. I just wanted to make that crystal clear. Okay, so then the second disclaimer here is that we have the training videos, we'll call it the library, on the white label page. And so if you've not gone through those, today's discussion is not going to replace the importance of going through and getting trained. So I encourage you to do that. Some people push back and they tell me they're busy, and I understand I'm busy too. But if you're going to be involved with an occupation whereby you could quite literally make 6 digits a month, over 100,000 a month, it's too good to be true to think that you're not going to have to develop some competency and proficiency in it. We've made it pretty simple. People used to have to fly into our office. We had people fly in from all over the country, even from as far away as Hawaii, to come in and do our onboarding training. Now we have it all available because of COVID and travel restrictions and so forth online. And so if you're not diligent in going through all that training, I don't think that you'll be as likely to be successful. And I don't think that you'll be able to provide your clients what they really deserve. Is it going to take a few hours to go through the training that's available? Do you need to be focused, have your notepad and take notes? I would recommend so. And ultimately, it's up to you. Can you start selling without being trained? Probably so. Can you start making money without being trained? Probably so. But I don't think it'll be as positive of an experience for you or for your clients. All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of the matter. Step one. Step one is, and this is going to strike you maybe as a little awkward, but hear me out. Because again, what was our theme today? We just listened to Jason Aldean's The Truth before we got started. We have to go into this with a truthful mindset, not only in what we say to others, but how we think ourselves. I was talking to a different white label partner yesterday, and I was asking, well, what is it that you want out of this? And so he came up with something where he wanted to make a lot of money. Well, great. I want you to make a lot of money too, but are you willing to put a lot of time and energy into it? Because it's unrealistic to think that you're going to get rich quick, right? People that buy lottery tickets, and I'm not talking about buying one just to see what happens, but spending much money on lottery tickets is a hope that you'll do very little and you'll get extraordinary returns. That's just not the way that the world works. It's very improbable that you're going to win the lottery. As a white label partner, it's very probable that you can earn a great income, but it's going to take some work. And so with that being said, you may want to think about, how much do you need to earn per hour? because the gentleman I was talking to yesterday, he's averaging right around $200 an hour, and he's disappointed. And I'm like, well, what else could you be doing right now? By the time you did the mathematical calculation, you're making around $200 an hour. What's your opportunity cost? What are you giving up? What would you be doing right now? Would you be doing brain surgery right now if you weren't a white label partner? Where else would you be earning this type of income? And so I think it starts with figuring out what is it that you want out of this. And this is one of the things that we did when I worked for the SBA. If we had someone coming in looking to start a new business, we'd say, stop right there. What is your goal? What is it that you want out of it? And do you want to replace your full-time income? Do you want secondary income? What are your economic goals? And so at some point, each of us have to make a decision. What if we can make at least, let's say, $100 an hour? Is that good enough? Now, we'd like to all make more, of course, but is that good enough to stick with it? Because if you take one access to capital client, we know that you should generate around $12,500 gross, not net, but gross income from each access to capital program. Are there expenses associated with that? Of course. So will your bottom line profit be $12,500 per access to capital client? Probably not. There's going to be expenses. So, but you control your profitability. And that was the discussion I was having with that white label partner yesterday. You decide, do you want your deposit for your clients to be refundable or non-refundable? It's up to you. What do you want your performance fee to be for your clients? It's up to you. And another variable that you can manipulate is what threshold you put into your agreement. We normally guarantee a $100,000 capital raise, which means we'll work with a client until they reach $100,000. Then they'll get the refundable deposit back. I know some of you, and the discussion yesterday was that some of you are increasing that from 100,000 up to 250,000. So that's a bilateral promise, right? That means that we're collectively promising to work with a client until they get $250,000 instead of just 100,000, and the client's promising to work with you until they get to at least 250,000. Well, if your performance fee, we'll just use a round number, is 10%, and they're promising to work with you till 250,000, now you know that you're assured of earning at least $25,000 from that client. And so that's more than doubled your income. So there's some calculations that you can do to determine what your pricing should be. So just like if you opened a restaurant or an automobile repair shop, you've got to decide what your pricing is. And as a white label partner, you choose that. As Marcelo's asking and clarifying, and I agree, Marcelo, you have expenses. I can't think of a business, maybe except if you're a dog walker, every business has expenses. Yeah. And so there's not going to be 100% profit margin, Marcelo, or the rest of us. That's too good to be true. That's not truthful. Businesses have expenses, but you can build your pricing model, Marcelo and others, to reach what you need. Now, your primary contribution of working with the client, if you're going to do the mentoring, now, of course, you could outsource the mentoring, but if you just were generous and say, on average, I'll probably spend 10 hours of time with the client from cradle to grave. So in other words, from the time the client comes into your world until they leave, if you spent 10 hours spread over a period of time, over weeks, then what would your income need to be? Well, if I needed to make at least $100 an hour and I'm going to spend 10 hours per client, then I better have net profit of at least $1,000. That's the simple math. 1,000 divided by 10. And so most likely, Marcelo and others, you're generating a lot more than $1,000. And so that would be even more than $100 per hour. All right, so let's get down into the basics, and I'm going to advance a little bit at a time so we're all together. A landing page is really important. And again, this is not a pitch to go work with Scott, our Chief Marketing Officer. I don't care. He doesn't care. But the benefit of a landing page is immense. Think about, and I gave I gave some of you an example. I was in the car dealership Saturday buying a new vehicle. And so it was amazing. So, and we selected the vehicle, we test drove it, agreed upon price, and then you go into the business office. And so here's the business office lady, I don't remember her name, nice enough, behind this acrylic plastic glass, I guess, for COVID protection. She's got this computer screen towards us and she's scrolling. She gives us a mouse to click. If you accept, click. If you accept, click. If you accept. I mean, it's terms and conditions. So here we took on this massively expensive car loan, and really she controlled the whole experience. I guess I could have asked her to slow down and let me read every line, but that's not how it was set up to do. If you go buy something off of Amazon or off of Apple or book a flight, what you're doing is almost always accepting terms and conditions. That's what we do as a society now when we make purchases. So what's the point? It would be advisable if you had a landing page where your clients could accept terms and conditions online. The easier that you make it for them, the more people that will become clients and the higher conversion ratio you'll have. So if you have to send them an Adobe, or if you have to send them a DocuSign or anything like that, it's more complicated, less people will sign up. So having a landing page makes all the sense in the world, because they can go there and they can actually accept the terms and conditions. If you have a landing page that's set up well, then it will also have the email and text sequences that I mentioned before that will prompt them if they start the process but they don't finish it. So, do you have to have a landing page to be successful? No. Do I think that you will be more successful if you have a landing page? I do. So that would be an important lesson on the ABCs of marketing, is please, please, please consider having a place that your prospects can go to be able to learn more and enroll. Now we're going to talk about campaigns in a moment, and what's also truthful is that this should be plural. You may want to have multiple landing pages, because we're going to talk about campaigns again in a minute. And so it would make sense to have a unique landing page for each campaign, but we'll come back to that. We'll talk about campaigns in a moment. All right, so now referral partners, and I got to this a bit a moment ago. I think any of us, myself, you, or anyone else, we'd be foolish to not offer economic incentives, in other words, offer money to other people to help you make more money. Because I promise you that there are others out there that are already plugged in to small business owners. And if you let them know what you do and you give them an economic reason, a financial incentive, they can refer to you. But if you don't let them know and you don't offer them an economic incentive, they probably won't refer to you. So one of the easiest ways to drive a large number of conversions is to work through referral partners. Now, with referral partners, we're going to divide them into two groups, kind of informal and formal. And there could be other variations, but certainly having what's called an affiliate network can be very successful. So that's where people can sign up. Now they get communication from you. You have a predetermined comp plan. It could be just as simple as here's $100 for every conversion, or here's 1, 2, 3, 5 points of the capital raise. It's up to you what you want to pay them. But having an affiliate network is smart, and that's frankly part of what Scott can help you do. Secondly, you could have a team of white label partners. So you can be a regional vice president if you want, doesn't cost you anything. You can bring on white label partners, doesn't cost them anything, and you earn a 25% override. So this is kind of the simple, and this is a little bit more complicated, but having the ability to get referrals from others that know prospects is invaluable. So if you're not doing that, I think that's a mistake. And again, Scott can help you with it, or you can do it on your own. It doesn't matter, but that's part of what he helps people with. There's going to be very few of us, of you, or of us that can generate massive volume just based upon our own efforts. And it's probably not even wise. It's better to leverage other people's efforts and relationships with them having some sort of economic incentive, and you'll help a lot more people and make a lot more money. All right, so referral partners we covered. We were just talking about creating campaigns. Now, there can be many different types of campaigns, but the point I'm trying to convey here is that you need to think before you act and say, okay, who is it that I want to reach? Who is my target audience? And what is the message that I'm going to use to convey to them that will resonate with them, that'll matter to them, that'll get them more likely engaged? And what's not listed on the page is what is the call to action? Now, in most cases, the call to action will be to drive them into your landing page, but I'll leave that alone for a moment. So you could have a campaign contacting life insurance agents to join your team of white label partners. So why would insurance agents like that? Well, insurance agents are often looking for more people to help with asset protection, and it's kind of difficult to go just talk about insurance. Most people don't want to talk about insurance, but if you empower them and position them to go talk to small business owners about accessing a minimum of $100,000 guaranteed to start or grow a business, now they're going to be able to have a lot of conversations. And so that could be a campaign. Your target audience of life insurance agents with the goal of getting them to be white label partners on your team. In contrast, maybe you want to focus on reaching out to recently started home-based businesses, because we know that's public information. You can find every LLC, C Corp, S Corp, every newly started DBA, every newly started business, and you can reach out to them and have a campaign that's marketed based upon, hey, we have a guaranteed $100,000 to help you get your new business funded so you can reach your potential. So it's still the Access to Capital program. You're just changing the message to match what is of interest to your target audience. One final example, and some of you have done this, and I imagine some of you haven't even considered it, is the third bullet, and it's picking a given targeted geographic area. So let's say that you're in Smith County. I'm just going to use a generic. So you could create a campaign where it's focused on helping small businesses in Smith County raise a guaranteed minimum of $100,000 to reach their potential. So what you're doing in each of these cases is you're identifying who your target audience is and creating a message that's relevant to them. Because when you market to everyone, it's harder to get them engaged, and it's also a lot more expensive. But if you decided who your target audience is, you created a message that seemed relevant to them, then you're more likely to get them engaged. So that's the importance of creating a campaign. And again, of course, Scott can help you do that, or you can do it on your own. But regardless, having campaigns is important. Like with 100% real estate financing, that's not a different offering. That is a use of funds, but that very well could be a campaign. The guaranteed $20,000 we talked about, the credit builder loans, no credit check, no income verification. Is that a separate program? No, but you could certainly build a campaign around that to help drive leads in for your access to capital. All right, and then the last topic we have here is, some of you like this and some of you don't, and it's okay, but using education makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about this recently. We have the presentation called 27 Mistakes. You could teach that in person or online. You can go to 27mistakes.org and see a YouTube version of it, but it's really good information that does two things. It helps the small business owner, the entrepreneur, understand what they might need to consider to position their business to be ready for a capital raise. And then secondly, it helps them know that you're a resource to fix any of the problems that they may have that's keeping them from being capital ready. It's huge. And so I don't know if you've watched that, if you've used that or not, but it's very effective. Now, you have to be delicate with it because it is the truth. You know, our theme throughout this morning is the truth. So it does tell the truth, and the truth can hurt, right? So if you're not delicate with it, they could watch that and say, oh man, I'm nowhere near being ready for a capital raise. But instead, what you want to do is educate them and say, don't worry, if there's any shortcomings or issues that you have, that's what we do. So we can get you enrolled today. We can get you a minimum of $100,000, start or grow a business. We can get your first tranche of financing in the first 7 to 10 days in almost all instances. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's give it a try. So let me make this smaller and let's get to your questions. So Mr. Williams, you're one of our white label partners that had prompted this topic, and we were supposed to have done it last Friday and then yesterday, and it got moved to today. But Mr. Williams, can you let me know via Q&A, it's like chat within Zoom, did this meet your needs? Now, if any of you were coming today looking for specific scripting and content, that comes from Scott. He's done this so many times. He's been the architect of so many successful campaigns and setups. He knows what works and what doesn't better than I do. I don't want to, I can't be Scott. I'm not as good as Scott at what Scott does. So for those specifics, get with Scott. Here we talked about some important concepts in terms of having a reasonable expectation of what your return on time would be. You don't have a return on investment because it didn't cost you anything to become a white label partner. The importance of having a landing page, not a requirement, but how it would help. We talked about why it's smart to have referral partners to generate more volume than you probably would on your own. We talked about the importance of creating campaigns where you know who you're trying to reach, what the message would be that would matter to them, and having a call to action. And then just reiterating that education can put you out in front of people, whether it be online or in person, that positions you as a subject matter expert. Okay, so who else has questions? And so yes, I'll send out a recording of today's training as usual. But who has questions about how to implement? Okay, so Marcel's got a question. So if Scott sets up a landing page, just like your time is valuable, Scott's time is valuable. And so he will charge, as Marcel was asking, to set up a landing page. Now, again, you don't have to use Scott. You can use your own landing page or hire someone off of Upwork. It doesn't matter to me. But yes, he'll charge. And we have a promotion that if you get the landing page from Scott and then stay compliant for 2 consecutive months thereafter, then we will actually reimburse you the cost of the landing page. So that is correct, Marcel. Okay, who else has questions regarding marketing? Because there's a number of other trainings that's available on IIMFL.org white label that goes deeper into other topics. You know, we had a whole session on developing landing pages. We had a whole session that's recorded on developing referral partners. And so this is a bit of an overview. So if you've not taken the time to go back and go through all the training, I encourage you to do so. So who else has any questions about this? All right, so Timothy's asking kind of for the rundown of the bullets of what makes this pitch unique. And so our access to capital program, if I had to reduce it just to a couple bullets, I'd say bullet number 1, guaranteed $100,000 to start or grow a business. Number 2, no cost to enroll. Number 3, first round of funding, typically within 7 to 10 days. 4th, no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business to qualify for the access to capital program. I think those are 4 key bullets. But Timothy, what you have to do, in my opinion, is figure out who your target audience is, and your top 3 or 4 bullets may vary, because if you're targeting Realtors. I got Joseph on here again. I'm so glad that Joseph, he's one of our top performers. He's a realtor. And so he uses this to connect with other realtors through our 100% real estate financing. So your top 3 or 4 bullets, your pitch will vary based upon your target audience because different messages will resonate with them. All right, so Felicia asked, when are the white label partners get paid for enrollment? Well, that's up to you, if I understand your question, Felicia. Felicia, as a white label partner, you decide if you're charging the client an application fee or not. If you do, you're keeping 100% of that. I know a number of you do. A number of you are charging like $99 for them to apply with you. So to answer that question, Felicia, when are you paid? Immediately, directly by the client. We don't share in that. The next round of income would be the refundable deposit. Client pays you, you're paid, you invoice them, and then they pay you. And then, of course, there's the performance fee based upon their capital raise. And Felicia, you invoice the client and they pay you. So it may be that there's a disconnect in your question and my answers, but if so, we can help you with that. Daryl's got a question on the regional vice president role. So Daryl, you're right. The regional vice president role is purely optional. There's no requirement to do it. There's no cost to be a regional vice president. There's not even an agreement that you have to sign up. There's no minimum production requirements. What you do, though, and there's training on that, but you'll bring on a team of white label partners whom also have no cost. And then you decide what override that you want. 25% override is the norm, but essentially what you're doing, Daryl, is you're doing a revenue split with the white label partners for bringing them on and helping coach them. But you would control how much you earn as a regional vice president based upon the override that you want, of course, also influenced by their production. If you do the normal 25% override, Daryl, and you bring on one white label partner, one single, help and work with us to help that white label partner just do the normal 8 clients in a month, 2 a week, but 8 in a month, you should generate around $25,000 per month overrides off that one white label partner. And we've had a separate training on that. Thank you, Daryl, for that question. Okay, are there any other questions regarding the ABCs of marketing the Access to Capital program? So quick summary, and then we'll dismiss. Be truthful. The first and foremost thing, anytime you're marketing, you want to tell people the truth. What we offer is so attractive, so unique, so desirable. We do not need to lie or say untruths to be able to get clients. It's just not necessary. Conversely, you do need to expect that clients will lie to you. Not all clients, but often clients will lie to you. I don't know why, but I gave a couple examples in the beginning of our call. It'll happen. And so you just have to be thick-skinned and understand, you got to love people, and people are people. And then we went through a number of key topics here. Probably most important thing I can do again is encourage you. We hired Scott to be a resource for our white label partners, to provide you the technology, the automation, and the resource to hit big numbers. The biggest success we've had in one 30-day period was Jeff. Jeff had over 400 access to capital enrollments in one 30-day period because Scott worked with him to build a landing page and automation techniques. And we ended up, that's spectacular. If all of you could do that, it would be life-changing. But regardless, if you can at least build a system, even if you don't have 400 enrollments in a given 30-day period in a given month, it still is going to allow you to help more people and be more successful. All right, well, I think we've covered it. See you all tomorrow. Have a good day, and let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you further. Bye-bye.